The Stoic Compass Radio Show, a clear path through a noisy world.
Welcome back to the Stoic Compass. I'm Jim.
And I'm Ellie. Today we're talking about something that hurts like hell when you give someone everything and it's still not enough.
Oh, are we going there?
We're going there because most people think stoicism means not feeling things, but it's actually about feeling things without being destroyed by them.
That's a crucial distinction.
It really is. So let's start with the painful truth. You can be thoughtful, loyal, hilarious, emotionally available, forgiving. You can show up with arms full of empathy and eyes that really see someone, and they still might not love you back.
And when that happens, the first instinct is to ask, what did I do wrong?
Exactly. Allie shows up with her clipboard going, "You weren't enough. You tried too hard. You stayed too long. This is your fault." She makes it about your inadequacy.
But it's not actually about inadequacy, is it?
No. And this is the Stoic reframe. They couldn't love you not because you were unlovable, but because they couldn't meet you. That's about their capacity, not your worth.
Capacity, that's an interesting word choice.
It is, because it removes blame. They're not a villain. You're not a failure. They just didn't have the capacity to meet you where you were. Maybe they weren't ready. Maybe they were too broken. Maybe they're just not built that way.
But that doesn't make it hurt less.
Not at all. Understanding doesn't erase pain, but it does prevent you from turning that pain into a story about your unworthiness. And that's everything.
So let's talk about that tendency to blame ourselves. Why do we do that?
Because self-blame gives us the illusion of control. If it's your fault, then you can fix it. You can become better, different, more. But if it's about their capacity, you can't fix that. And that's terrifying.
So we'd rather believe we're flawed than accept we're powerless.
Exactly. But here's what the Stoics understood. You can't compensate for someone else's absence with deeper presence. You can't outgive someone's emotional unavailability. And you can't force connection by shrinking yourself.
I've definitely tried that last one. Making myself smaller so they'd feel more comfortable.
We all have. But think about how absurd that is. Dimming your light so someone else's darkness feels less dark. That doesn't help anyone.
It just makes two people small instead of one.
Right. And Marcus Aurelius wrote about this, not in romantic terms, but philosophically. He said we can't control what others do, only what we do. Trying to control their capacity is like trying to control the weather.
Futile and exhausting.
Completely. You didn't fail at love. You just reached for someone who couldn't reach back. That's not failure. That's mismatch. Big difference.
Okay, but here's where it gets tricky. Because rejection feels like a judgment on your worth. How do you separate those things?
By remembering that your worth isn't on trial here. Just because someone doesn't choose you doesn't mean you're not a catch. A whole feast, actually.
A whole feast, I like that metaphor.
Right? You're bringing a full spread. Appetizers, main course, dessert, good conversation. And someone walks up, takes one look, and says, "I'm not hungry." That doesn't mean the food is bad.
It just means they're not hungry. Or they only eat fast food. Or they have weird hang-ups about complex flavors.
Exactly. And you're not a product waiting for 5-star reviews. You're a human being with a wildly open heart. Don't confuse rejection with reality.
But it's so easy to let someone's silence rewrite your story.
It is easy, because we give other people so much authority over our self-perception. The Stoics would say that's a fundamental error, letting external things define your internal worth.
Let's talk about grief. Because you're not just mourning the person, you're mourning something else too, right?
Yes. You're grieving the fantasy, the version of them you hoped they'd become. The someday, the softness, the maybe. That's often more painful than losing the actual person.
Because you're mourning potential.
Exactly. And potential is seductive. It lets us ignore the reality right in front of us. We date who someone could be instead of who they actually are.
I've definitely done that.
We all have. But here's the Stoic approach. Let yourself feel that grief. Let yourself ugly cry. Let yourself miss the dream. But then, come home to you.
Come home to you? What does that actually mean?
It means remembering who you are without them. Reconnecting with your own center. Not the version of you that was trying to be enough for them. The version that's already enough. Period.
But what if I forgot who that person is? What if I lost myself in the relationship?
Then you get to rediscover yourself. And honestly, that's kind of a gift. It's painful, yes, but you get to rebuild from a place of knowing what you don't want.
Silver lining in the heartbreak.
More than silver lining. Actual wisdom. Epictetus said difficulties are what show us who we are. Heartbreak is just one of those difficulties.
Okay, but what about closure? Because a lot of times people just vanish. No explanation, no conversation. How do you deal with
This
that?
is hard. Closure might not come. They may never explain. They may lie to themselves about what happened. They may vanish into silence. And you can still choose to close the chapter.
Without their participation?
Without their participation. Peace doesn't require their cooperation. It only requires your permission. You give yourself closure by deciding the story is over.
That feels like a lot of agency to claim.
It is. And it's uncomfortable because we want them to be part of the ending. We want the conversation, the understanding, the mutual acknowledgement. But sometimes you have to write the ending yourself.
How do you actually do that, though? Just decide it's
You
over?
ritualize it. Write them a letter you'll never send. Say out loud what you need to say. Create a ceremony of release. Burn something. Bury something. Give something away. Make the ending tangible.
That's actually really helpful. Give yourself the closure they couldn't provide.
Exactly. Because waiting for them to give you closure means giving them continued power over your healing, and you deserve better than that.
Let's talk about what happens after. Because I imagine there's a strong temptation to just shut down, build walls.
Huge temptation to go full never again, to become suspicious of kindness or allergic to intimacy. But that's not protection, that's prison.
It feels like protection, though.
It does. But you're not here to be half alive. You're not here to let one person's inability to love you turn you into someone who can't love anyone. That's letting them win twice.
So how do you stay open without being reckless?
You let the hurt teach you about what you deserve, not what you should fear. Big difference. Fear teaches you to hide. Wisdom teaches you to choose better.
Can you give me an example of that distinction?
Sure. Fear says, never trust anyone again. Wisdom says, trust people who show up consistently. Fear says, I'm done being vulnerable. Wisdom says, I'll be vulnerable with people who've earned it.
So it's about discernment, not shutdown.
Exactly. The Stoics were big on this. You should absolutely use reason to evaluate people, but you shouldn't let fear masquerade as reason. There's a difference between healthy boundaries and a fortress.
How do you know which one you're building?
Boundaries feel like self-respect. Fortresses feel like self-imprisonment. Boundaries let good people in. Fortresses keep everyone out. Check in with yourself. Are you protecting your heart or punishing it?
Well, that's a good litmus test.
And here's something beautiful. The love you gave was never wasted. I want you to really hear that. The love you gave was not a loss.
But it feels like a loss. It feels like I poured myself into someone who didn't appreciate
I know
it.
it feels that way, but that love was a reflection of your capacity, your courage, your truth. It didn't disappear just because they couldn't hold it. It lives on in you.
It lives on in me. Okay, but what does that actually mean practically?
It means you proved to yourself that you're capable of deep love. That's huge. A lot of people never access that capacity. You did, and that capacity doesn't go away. It just gets redirected.
Redirected where?
To yourself first, then to people who can actually receive it, to projects, to art, to friendships, to new relationships. It finds its way back to you in unexpected, quiet, miraculous ways.
So it's not wasted, it's just redirected.
Exactly. And the fact that you can love deeply after being hurt, that's not weakness. That's the most profound strength there is.
What would the Stoics say about staying open to love after heartbreak? Because it seems like they'd say, just logic your way out of caring.
That's a common misconception. The Stoics never said, don't feel love. They said, don't let love, or the loss of love, destroy your capacity for reason and virtue.
So feel it, just don't be ruled by it.
Yes. Marcus Aurelius lost his wife, his children, people he loved deeply. He grieved them, but he didn't let that grief make him bitter or closed. He stayed engaged with life. That's the model.
Stay engaged even when it hurts.
Especially when it hurts. Because the alternative is becoming numb. And numbness isn't peace. It's just slow death. You're not here to survive life. You're here to live it fully.
Even if that means getting hurt again.
Even if that means risking hurt again. Not recklessly, wisely. But yes, the world needs more people who still believe in love after it breaks them. Who still soften. Who still hope.
That's really vulnerable.
It is. But vulnerability is courage, not weakness. Brené Brown talks about this, but so did the Stoics in their own way. Courage isn't fearlessness, it's acting despite fear.
So loving again after heartbreak is an act of courage.
One of the bravest acts there is, because you're choosing hope over cynicism, connection over safety, growth over stagnation. That takes serious strength.
Okay, practical advice time. Someone's listening right now, freshly heartbroken. What should they do today?
First, let yourself feel it. Don't spiritually bypass with everything happens for a reason or they weren't worth it anyway. Feel the actual loss. Cry, rage, grieve, whatever needs to move through you.
Don't skip the grief.
Don't skip the grief, but also don't build a home there. Feel it, process it, and then gently start redirecting your attention back to yourself. What do you need right now?
And what if what I need is
That's
them?
your brain confusing habit with need. You don't need them. You need what you thought they could provide. Figure out what that is. Safety, validation, companionship, and start giving it to yourself.
Self-sourcing what you were seeking externally.
Exactly. And third, remember, this isn't about your worth. Say it out loud if you need to. They couldn't love me, and that's about their capacity, not my value.
That's a powerful reframe.
It is. And you might need to say it 100 times before you believe it. That's okay. The repetition is part of the healing.
So to bring this home, they couldn't love you, but you can love
Yes. Love them if you need to. Miss them if you must. But release them. And keep loving anyway. Keep believing in love anyway. Because that's the most powerful love story of all.
you. Not the story of being loved, but the story of continuing to love.
Exactly. The story of staying soft in a world that makes you want to harden. The story of choosing hope after heartbreak. That's heroic. That's stoic. That's everything.
Thanks for this one. It's heavy, but I think people needed to hear it.
We all need to hear it. Heartbreak is universal, and so is the choice to stay open anyway. If this resonated, share it with someone who needs the reminder that their worth isn't defined by someone else's capacity.
Until next time, feel the heartbreak, but don't let it define you. And remember that your ability to love deeply is your superpower, not your weakness.
Stay soft, stay open, stay whole. You're not broken, you're just human, and that's more than enough.
The Stoic Compass radio show is made possible by voxcrea.ai, where ideas come to life.